Thunder! 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 Thundercats! Ho!
Well, it looks like it's another Thundercats Friday here on the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. As always, I am joined by my brother, David.
And a hoe. I mean, Thundercats hoe.
And a hoe. So we are getting into a big episode today. This is episode 109, The Garden of Delights. But before we even get into that, we were talking about the new Thundercats movie on a recent episode. So we actually just watched a canceled clip from a CGI movie from 2007. This was what the Thundercats movie was going to be like back in the day. So there's a one scene that they did prepare to kind of like tease it to show WB that we mentioned in our older episode is on YouTube. If anyone wants to check this out.
Can you share a link?
Yeah, actually, I could share a link. Yeah, I
want to show it. I mean, it's kind of interesting to look at. It just obviously it's dated and it's very different than maybe you would expect it to look like. I don't know, but
Lion-O has a shorter. He looks like a cat. I mean, he's cat-like. Of course, it's that humanoid cat look, but he's got shorter hair, and it's a short scene with him kind of playing with the Sword of Omens, talking about making his father proud, and then he's attacked by Slythe, which doesn't look like the Slythe that we're used to. Taller, thinner.
The Sly in the cartoon looks more like an actual frog that's kind of extended its limbs and such. But I mean, it's different. I mean, it does show again, in at least in this little clip, it seems like they're staying true to Lion-O is grown up in body, but not in mind, and what have you. So, other than the actual special effects not being so special, I guess, I guess the continuity seems to have been there at that point. And
also, it seems like they're doing like that comedy that they add into a lot of properties, like Slythe licking Lion-O's face with his long lizard tongue and saying things like that. Oh, you're still a boy and a man's,
that sounds pornographic.
It might have been. It might have been. So it says
everyone goes around licking their enemies' faces.
Don't you?
I mean, I remember you did Charlie's Angels in the second movie of Charlie's Angels with Drew Barrymore, and Demi Moore was the bad guy. Didn't she lick Cameron Diaz's face?
Yeah. And that's Angel style. That's how we do it, Angel style. So that was canceled, this movie, and they said that it turned out that they think it was canceled in favor of the 2011 Thundercats, also canceled TV show from Cartoon Network that we got for a season. It seems like that's a continuing thing with Thundercats. Season canceled.
Well, I mean, at least it wasn't various singing stars running around in cat suits showing buttholes in the movie Cat.
Well, now that you bring that up, David, one of the ways that Thundercats was going to be rebooted by the WB as a cartoon was Thundercats as rock stars that would transform into this is crazy. Snarf would become their master Splinter, kind of like wise sage, and he tells them that these modern people are embedded with the spirits of the Thundercats, and they would have transformed into like the Thundercats with guitars and instruments. Yes, this was a concept.
So this would have been like a combination of Sailor Moon stars.
Yeah.
With Josie and the Pussycats, with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, kind of.
And having the spirits of Thundercats possess modern kids rock stars, it makes really
listen. Please let the spirit of a thin Thundercat possess me at this point. One that doesn't want to eat anything.
Chitara. At least she'll be on the
treadmill. Run on the treadmill. I'm always on the move. That means nothing.
Well, that's right.
4 kids running perpetually. Anywho, I want to say something. So did we even actually talk about the episode? I think you said the name, right?
This is The Garden of Delights, episode 109, original air date September 19th of 1985.
My title is, I have in quotes, all caps, Drug Dealer Silky. That's the name of the episode for me. It's called Drug Dealer Silky.
I guess this is Silky.
Silky, the name itself is a cross between either a pimp. I'm feeling blaxploitation film pimp, or like I guess drug dealer. Yeah, like I don't know. I just
let me call my dealer Silky.
That's
She works out of an old Dairy Queen.
Yeah, Silky. You know Silky. Up the block, Silky. Oh, Silky. Oh, Silky. Anyway.
So this is a full jammed pack episode. There's a lot that happens here.
This is a really good one. Like, I have to say, have you noticed it's like every 2 episodes is kind of like a slower one that's kind of like, okay, it's there, we like it, but it's not like, bam. This one brings out a lot of different things, a lot of different characters that are what's going on with them.
You're right. It seems to be the episodes that have the most going on, literally character-wise, locations, and a million things happening are the fullest, best episode, I guess, when they really jam back. The summary of this episode, before we get into our breakdown, is... Tygra yields to the temptation of enjoying immediate gratification. That's what they're calling that. Represented by the mind-altering fruit given to him by Mumm-Ra in disguise. So, that's the summary. Where to begin?
I can begin. Thundercat episode, what number?
Number 9.
So, drug dealer Silky. Anyway, so there's a disturbance.
Episode 9, drug dealer Silky, September 19th of 1985.
So Tygra and Panthro are in the cat's lair. They seeing that there are tremors or earthquakes going on around Third Earth. Multiple tremors, and Tygra just all of a sudden is like, I'm gonna go check this out. So basically he's going to investigate. The Earth opens up, he falls in.
Immediately. It actually says that, and it's true. He literally walks outside of Cat's lair and the ground collapses underneath his feet.
Now, no sort of omens warned Lion-O.
No.
Maybe the sort of omens was covered up. Maybe it was under a towel. So the Eye of Thundera couldn't cry out for help for poor Tygra.
Well, it seems like him and Shitara were out and about, almost because they do come later on, and they're just like, well, when we get into it, but yeah, they are not around. So Tygra heads out and immediately is attacked by a giant worm underground. Tygra retaliates by lashing it with his bolo whip, but the slimy creature grabs the bolo and pulls Tygra with it underground before disappearing out of sight.
And mind you, there is glittery slime.
What was it that...
So there was like glittery, it was like leaving glittery slime. I don't know. Then there's like mole people.
Well, yes, so we get our new characters, which are the mole people. Following the worm's slimy trail, he runs into a pair of mole men, which are kind of like, oh, gotta get the dirt. Oh.
They have those poor things. They're OCD. The poor things. They're OCD.
It says that they assure him that they are not responsible for the earthquakes, but did they really? I think they just kind of were like, let's talk about tremors. Let's talk about the tremors.
No, they trap him. Then they tie him up and they like, let's talk about it. And he goes, well, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I wonder, Tygra, what do they want to talk about? Yeah, so they kind of...
They deduce between them that neither one of them is responsible for these earthquakes, these tremors. It's the worm.
So Tygra carries out his pursuit of the worm, but instead ends up in the Garden of Delight, a strange botanical paradise teeming with all kinds of plants and insects. There he encounters Silky, a friendly human-faced plant who gives him a yellow melon-like fruit.
Eat it, Tygra.
Right away.
Well, so here's the thing, though. The worm is Mumm-Ra, right? Is the worm Mumm-Ra as well?
It's part of Mumm-Ra's
So it's the movie Tremors in cartoon version. The worm, I think, is Mumm-Ra, and then
it's definitely part of his entourage. Tygra appears in this thing, and he goes, I'm looking for the glittery slime, and she's like, slime? You won't find slime here, Tygra. Only fruit.
So she's Mumm-Ra in disguise. Okay. But he's like enchanting Tygra from the moment he gets in there. I don't know, maybe the glitter slime does something. I have no idea.
They do show it on his hand, so I'm kind of thinking it's all connected.
Now I want to know where. Before we go any further, I actually wrote notes for this one because this is just too much. This is the drug episode. This is the
Tygra's mind on drugs.
You know that in the new reincarnation of Thundercats, Tygra is a gay Thundercat, right? That has a thing with Mumm-Ra.
Unofficially, but it's definitely heavily. It's definitely heavily implied that he is, because he's clean and he likes to study and he's studious. So I guess that's what.
That's me. Studious, clean. Like to study. I think it's just interesting.
Parallel is they did redo this episode in the reboot, but it was a way for Mumm-Ra to get close to Tygra by having him eat dirt. So he's not even eating fruit in the new one. He's eating dirt from a potted plant.
Yeah, this is what I wrote. This is actually what I wrote. Mumm-Ra is like, I know, I'll become a drug dealer. I remember when there was a drug problem when this was First Earth. That's when I was dealing at the clubs. Those are my notes.
You think the Black Pyramid just...
The Black Pyramid used to be a discotheque, and then it was a rave. You know, Mumm-Ra must have charged a lot of admission.
You can't even find your way out. It's one of those clubs you're
in a K-hole. You'll never get out. You're so high. You're so drunk. You'll never know. I want to know where Mumm-Ra came up with this grand scheme. He couldn't just take Tygra. He couldn't let Tygra walk into the woods and meet this Silky. He had to create a worm's tremors to open up the earth for him to fall in.
David, I literally wrote this too. So let me get this straight. Mumm-Ra caused earthquakes, made a giant sparkly slime monster, and makes a whole tunnel to hook Tygra on fruit drug. That's how I sum this up. He did it. You're right. He has this whole... It wasn't just capture Tygra. No. We're going to get him addicted to drugs.
And the funny part of this, too, is that, okay, so little before your time, there was this show called The Magic Garden. So it was these later find out they're lesbians, two lesbians that played guitars. They were hippies. And they had, like, a pink squirrel. Like, they used to have this thing called the story box, and it would, like, move, and there would be music. They had this thing called the Chuckle Patch. The Chuckle Patch were these, like, these psychedelic plastic plants that would thrash back and forth and go, hee, 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 and laugh. And they would give these ladies a joke. So I just equivalated.
Are they giving them a joke? Are they really giving a joke?
I think they were giving them Molly or whatever was out there at the time.
Molly.
I also wrote the note that Silky's place was the Chuckle Patch. So
It did there was a lot of laughing going on there.
Tygra.
He goes right to it. He doesn't even resist.
But I think he's being enchanted. That's what I'm thinking.
The slime. He's like looking at his hands. He's like, oh, glitter slime. My favorite.
He's like, oh, glitter in the club. Glitter in the club.
Ready for a night out. A bit hesitant, Tygra starts eating the fruit and all at once starts experiencing hallucinations and the feeling of euphoria. So addicted is Tygra to the fruit that he does not even notice when Silky changes into her true form, that of Mumm-Ra. Mumm-Ra promises to give Tygra more fruit, but only if he brings him the Sword of Omen. So I don't think they wrote that he doesn't notice that, but I think that's honestly just for the kids and the viewers at home to realize it's Mumm-Ra. I don't think he really was Mumm-Ra going, oh, Tygra, yes, eat the fruit, Tygra, more, yes.
But he enchanted him. I'm gonna go with and he does, between turning from Silky that looks like two like palm leaves with a face in it, like it's like the original Little Shop of Horrors when the buds open up and you see the people's faces that the thing ate. That's what it looks like. Except for it's a pretty face on this one. It looks like a Moria Maiden face, actually. I'm not going to say it, but I think you reused animation. That's all.
Oh, Mumm-Ra didn't have a lot. Even later on, he's like, I heard of something called Warrior Maidens, also racist against cats. Right? He liked that. He's like, I heard of them.
So there is a point where he's transforming from Silky, the drug dealing plant, to Mumm-Ra, and he turns and almost looks like a little old, scary looking lady and the animation almost looks a little bit like anime-ish for a second. If anybody who's really like detail oriented, you can look into that. But it kind of anime-ish for a moment, and then it almost reminded me of like, I don't know, like you would for a moment like Baba Yaga or something from like or that scary or the wicked the evil queen from Snow White for a moment, and then he transforms into Mumm-Ra. But he does say the plan ultimately is for Tygra to go into Cat Lair and get Mumm-Ra.
We should say that. We were just so taken by the whole slime and the drugs. We didn't even get to the plan yet. Yes.
But he does say bring the sword to Mumm-Ra. So that is when he could still be under the illusion that it's Silky, not because he does refer to Mumm-Ra as Silky.
That. I mean, they literally drew. Oh ho ho! He sees Cat Lair.
Do you remember your friend from the crafts that she was flying when she was in the hospital bed when they were strapping her down? What's her name, Ryan?
Feruza? Bulk. Bah.
give you, the nurse says, I'm going to give you the magic or the power or whatever. And she gives her like a sedative.
Now she
She's
really
like,
is.
Flying. Anyway, so Tygra feels like he's flying. It's euphoric.
I mean, he crashes hard, though, fast.
Coming
that
back
was like
down
a
off the
second.
high.
He goes, oh, Silky, I'm falling. And he goes back into his body. And
well, listen, Mumm-Ra's got to set this up. It's supply and demand. He can't have him on a trip that's going to last for days. He needs him to want that
this literally
drugs
does
again.
happen in one day.
Listen.
When Tygra returns to Cat's lair, he is in such a stupor that Panthro almost hits him with the thunder tank. Surprised by Tygra's overall behavior, Panthro nevertheless continues to work up cleaning all the trees that were uprooted by the tremors. He lets Wily Cat take control of the tank, and I gotta say, immediately, they fall into a hole. Oh, Panthro, I can't hold her! And they go down in a second! They go into a hole. Oh god, forget teaching Lion-O to drive, Cat.
Well, listen, it's important that all the Thundercats know.
And I do like that
Panthro
Panthro is such, like David would say, has a heart of gold. He's always willing to let them have fun when they can, fun with their work. They stumble into one of the cracks in the ground. Neither of them are injured by the fall, and they call for Lion-O and Chitara, and he tells them to come down here. But I love that Chitara, that Lynn Lipton, she's too busy doing all the female voices on this show that she gets a little robotic. Tygra, we will let you come. I don't know how she says it's almost like, we're sending a line down now. It was like very, like Chitara was subdued.
Maybe she had her burble voice. Maybe she had her burble voice.
She's doing them all. We didn't even get to Mandora. Talented woman, warrior maidens, she does them all. Back inside the lair, Tygra tries to sleep, but his cravings for the fruit prevent him. He gets up, takes the Sword of Omens, and hands it over to Mumm-Ra in the Black Pyramid in exchange for the fruit. I want to say that Mumm-Ra lets Tygra sleep in his sarcophagus, so he does kind of take care of him. He's like, oh, let me put him in there for later. Maybe this is where it started.
I didn't get that, why he put him in the sarcophagus. He didn't. Well, you remember how
Chitara
he had
got the nice
laid out
pedestal. Tygra in the bed.
No, she got that was a, what do you call it? That wasn't a throne. That was where he probably sacrificed people.
That was an altar. You're right.
That was his altar.
Sleep fast one.
This wasn't the comfort inn. She didn't get a chocolate on a pillow or anything like that. He calls his boys. Mumm-Ra calls his boys. Calls the mutants to basically go, look what I got.
In
I got
9
the Sword of
episodes,
Omens.
Mumm-Ra was able to do it. I mean, he did get what he said he was going to do.
I mean, he had to create a worm, to create earthquakes, to create drug dealing, to do all this stuff when he could have I would have just turned into a fly and flew into the cat's
we know
lair.
Mumm-Ra likes to dress up. I guess this is his part of his character now. Mumm-Ra wants to dress up.
He's lonely. It's a lonely Karen who likes drama, because if I was really as evil as Mumm-Ra really is, I would have just killed the Thundercats. Chitara would have been dead when she was in the throne, and so would have Tygra. I would have said, 2 down, 3 to go.
That is true. Yeah, but they talk about killing them all the time. I mean, in a way.
But they never actually do it. So, well, thank God.
Back in the Black Pyramid, well aware that the fact that the sword cannot be used by evil purposes, Mumm-Ra uses the mutants to bring back a pure spirit who turns out to be Willa. So Mumm-Ra does try, though, right? I mean, he does try to use. He tries to transform into the ever-living form to hold it.
Well, I actually really like this, because in his mummy decrepit form, he holds the Sword of Omens. The Sword of Omens starts going crazy, starts sending out the cat sound, which, again, why did not Lion-O hear it in his sleep or whatever? Anyway, whatever. It would ruin the whole show, but that's what I'm always thinking in the back of my head. Why did nobody know it? How did he not? If I had the Sword of Omens, I'd be checking on it I'd go pee in the middle of the night. I'd be checking on the Sword of Omens. I'd have it closer to me than my own penis.
Well, you did say it is a metaphor for a man's member with the growing.
Yes, I did say that.
So he needs to transform into the ever-living.
PG-13 podcast. So he's trying to control it. He can't. He goes, but I know someone that can. And then he transforms into Mumm.
He's considering himself separate from the ever-living, right? Or he's just referring to himself in the third.
I think really he's a psychopath. He really is. I think all those years of being alone and being tormented by evil himself and everything, I really think he's nuts. I really do believe he enjoys the kind of quote-unquote cat and mouse game that he's playing with them. He wants to torture them. He wants them to suffer. He doesn't even know them. He just wants to lash out. He's the Karen that comes up to you and starts to attack you for no reason because they feel entitled to do so and they get a thrill out of it. It's like these people on social media that like call you horrible names and stuff and attack you, and it's like you could be like, oh, it's a beautiful day. Well, how dare you say it's a beautiful day? The sun is going to explode one day and we're all gonna die. Who do you think you are talking about the sun? Are you an expert? My husband is a climologist and knows that, like, he's a Karen.
What
Sorry,
would he
he's a
even
Karen.
do
He's a
without
psycho
the
Karen.
Thundercats at this point? You're right. This is his entertainment.
He'd be bored. How many times can he attack the Burble Village? I'd be bored of that too. Oh, more candy fruit, for God's sake.
Not my drug fruit. Not my fruit.
Yeah.
I love that we get Willa because, so we mentioned this earlier. He tells them, I've heard of someone called warrior women. He transports the mutants to the forest where Willa is walking. She's doing her haunting, her whatever she does, surveying the land. And they throw the Sword of Omens at her feet.
Take this. Just take it. Just take it.
Mumm-Ra uses the mutants to bring back Willa. Once Willa is teleported inside the Black Pyramid, Mumm-Ra tells her, with the promise of unlimited power by placing the sword right in front of her, that if she looks between the sword's crossbars...
Mumm-Ra teleports the mutants to get Willa. They actually throw the Sword of Omens at her feet, and they basically leave because they're actually afraid of Willa. Monkeyan particularly just like freaks out. I guess because the last time he tried to grab a warrior maiden, what happened to him? So
even the mutants, Willa, they all have like sleep darts. That's the most common things.
I need some of that too because I don't want Lunesta or Ambien. Just get me some of that sleep gas.
Willa's wandering the forest again on Ambien.
So throws the sword, and Mumm-Ra, once she picks up the sword, Mumm-Ra transports her back to the pyramid, and she's kind of bathed in like a light, right? Like almost like a little spotlight.
You are in the Black Pyramid. Don't even try. You won't even get out of here. You won't never get out.
That's what she's in a spotlight. He's like, you're a star, baby. But you ain't getting out of this pyramid. Don't even try.
With this sword, you can rule the world. But Willa is not interested in this, but she's kind of like playing along. First off, Willa is braver than me, because if you got transported into this thing and you see this mummy talking to you right in front of you, I have questions. I would have questions. But Willa,
she's like, it's just another Tuesday here on Third Earth.
Transported into a Black Pyramid. So he says, pick this sword up. You don't like cats. I don't like cats. We can have a beautiful friendship here. So he tells her to use the sword's crossbars to do sight beyond sight. So Willa picks this up and she's kind of like playing like, oh, what is this? Oh, I'm not sure how to use this thing. Oh, what was it he said? That was my favorite. What was it he said? Thunder. Thundercats. Oh.
She sees sight beyond sight. She sees that Tygra has been enslaved by Mumm-Ra. The sword gives her the truth, basically.
Tygra, turned against Lionel. She thinks that he's turned against his friends. But Mumm-Ra is convinced that he's like, you saw something? Like, he's like already accusing her because she kind of says, with this simple sword, how do I do it? And so she figures it out, though. She playing dumb, but she figures it out. And he's like, you saw something. Yes, I saw the future.
I saw Willa, Queen Willa.
He does it good. You know what? We gotta give it to Willa, though, David. Like, she fooled him. You did too. You got that Willa inside of you. We all have a little Willa. We all got a little Chitara Lynn Lipton doing every female voice inside of us. He believes that she's ready to do her plan.
He thinks that because of his own greedy heart, or lack of thereof, that because she will have ultimate key to ultimate power. He also says, but they will rule together. He kind of threw himself in on the side there. It's like, all right, we'll do it together.
No, exactly, because he probably figures he'll use her as long as he can to wield the sword since he's pure evil, and she could evidently use it. But David, how can she use this? I don't understand this. Like, I thought this power was strictly for the Lord of the Thundercats. Because that would mean that Tygra, Chitara, Panthro, Wily Cat, that they could all use the sword then.
But they've never dared to do so. We've seen, like, Snarf grab the Sword of Omens in its dagger form to throw to Lion-O. We've seen other Thundercats hold the Sword of Omens to give it to Lion-O. It didn't act up. It didn't go crazy. Like, you can't touch me because you're not the Lord of the Thundercats. Like, it's so
crazy that
because the sword let her, because it wanted to show her the truth. Because she is pure of heart. She doesn't have ill intentions.
Cat
and
racist
the sword
anymore? They were cat people.
Well, nobody's perfect.
So
nobody's perfect.
Willa and the Warrior Maidens and the mutants and Mumm-Ra attack the Thundercat, locking Lion-O, Chitara, and Panthro inside Cat's lair, leaving the addicted Tygra to remain with them. But I want to add, David, they only know that something's up with Tygra is because Panthro goes into the kitchen and sees a trail of fruit.
And poor Snarf is cleaning up like, I don't know what is wrong with him. I'm cleaning up this
neat,
mess.
Usually. We don't have to clean after him and his trail of drug fruit. He's underneath a tree. Tygra's underneath the tree.
No, exactly.
Eating fruit outside.
He's like, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor. Let me eat my drug fruit.
So they're locked up, but Tygra's outside with the group. Willa's like almost believes that he's, sold out the group. So he's kind of like, how could you do that to Lion-O, your friend, for drugs? No, she doesn't even say that, but she's got no idea really that he's under the control of the group.
So I wrote this down because when they're locked up, they're all saying that they can't get out. Panthro, so Lion-O's like,
I forgot we should say that Lion-O actually runs outside and goes, the sword is missing! Like, he just screams it outside of the cat's lair. He just opens the door and announces it to everybody. So, yeah, that happened. He did get a little nervous. But now they're locked up.
Finally, it's been a day. It's been a whole day. So Panthro takes the Thundercats insignia off his chest, which is the world's first drone.
Panthro has done everything.
There's a little opening, and he could shut
and like David said, he's got the lock on insignias. He's got insignias on everything, even his mechanics, his belt insignia.
He is branding. If he was on social media, they would be worth more than the Kardashians.
Right.
And you get a Thundercat insignia.
The burbles
you get a
buy these Thundercat insignias from us.
You see the burbles with like Thundercat mugs and
Panthro,
wristbands,
please, and we don't need any more mugs. So he sends this drone out, like David said, to see what's going on. They're outside Cat's lair still. Mumm-Ra's already planning to take over the Cat's lair. We knew he wanted to seize that with the Homeowners Association.
He's like, I told them not to put candy fruit in their front yard. I told them. Now we're going to pull it down. Take it all down. Everything.
They had their chance.
The funny thing is, Tygra is like asking for more fruit. And he's like, why should I give you anything? Yeah, I'm done. I got my use out of you. That's like a drug dealer would say that. I swear to God. At least I've seen enough movies.
But Tygra, thank God, he sobers up really quickly, and he pretends to eat the fruit, and Will is like, I see you.
But he says, you will never rule as long as Lion-O is alive. Yes. Doesn't he say something?
Well, then I will make it so. No, I don't know.
So then he does this whole gladiator, like, is that like a little gladiator area thing that he has going on? Like the Parthenon? Is it the Parthenon? Is that what it's called? The Colosseum?
Willa and the Sword of Moments on his side. Mumm-Ra is confident that he has succeeded, but before he can begin the festivities, the tables turn. Tygra has now broken free of the fruit's addiction, and Willa throws the Sword of Omens to Lion-O after freeing him. So, yes, they go to a Colosseum that just happens to be somewhere on Third Earth. He's set up his chair, and he thinks, the She-Ra.
The ruins of civilization. Maybe it's hell. It might even actually be the original Colosseum that's around in our day, because it's still lasting longer than our modern stuff that we built.
And then, the Thundercats, united once again, make quick work of the mutants. Mumm-Ra, as a last resort, fires energy bolts at Lion-O from his hands, but the young lord deflects them using the claw shield, sending Mumm-Ra reeling back to his pyramid.
And he again threatens him that he's gonna get them. I'm gonna get you.
He came close this week. He really did come close. Some notes, David. Originally, Silky was designed as a girl-pony hybrid with a rich mane and tail, hence the moniker Silky, but they switched her into plant face.
Because Hasbro and My Little Ponies was going to sue them, or My Little Pony was like, you are not going to defile, you're not going to defile Megan and Sundance and all the other ponies, your drug-dealing pony.
Also, this episode marks the first time that Tygra becomes addicted to something. This is not the last! It is here with Silky's fruit. He becomes addicted again in 2 future episodes to various other things, so Tygra is prone to addiction.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, that's good. That humanizes him.
That's true. They're all perfect, so at least, you know what? Now we got you, Thundercats. We know you ain't perfect.
So Mumm-Ra came up with a very unique way of getting at the Thundercats instead of just going in. Although he did try that already when he became Mumm-Ra.
But couldn't this been solved as Mumm-Ra disguises himself as a traveling fruit saleswoman? Because you know it's gonna.
Yeah, the usual.
He's got his freak side. He's got that cross-dressing going. He comes and, oh, you want to try my fruit with a basket?
Maybe the Sword of Omens, though. Maybe the Sword of Omens would go off.
Oh, that would have been
well,
too
the
much.
Sword of Omens like, well, not my Lion-O, not my Lion-O.
Tygra can get addicted to drugs, but nope, Lion-O's
always been Jaga's favorite. We knew it.
Snarf, my god, can you imagine Snarf if he would have Lion-O! Drugs, Lion-O, where did I go wrong?
So, oh my god, you too, buddy. So Tygra apologizes, and Panthro says to him, "That wasn't you, that was somebody else."
Yeah.
And then Lion-O admits that he's scared. He was scared, but he knew the sword would not hurt him. But he was scared. He said he was.
Were you really sure, Lion-O? It was wielded by Queen Willa.
Queen of the universe! I have the power!
That's right! And somewhere else in her tree kingdom, she's probably still going, damn it.
So I also have down that I wrote notes that the warrior maidens are allies and righteous. The introduction of the mole people, yet another plot, a bizarre, very roundabout plot that Mumm-Ra comes up with instead of just head on. I would have just throttled them at some point and just been like, let's see what happens. Let me just do some fire.
Earthquakes alone, David, could have destroyed the cat slayer if he did earthquakes around.
But I think he really enjoys the game.
That was the Garden of Delight. Honestly, a delightful episode to review for everyone this week. I think it's one of the top episodes. Creative. Yeah, this is the top. Can you imagine?
Queen Willa!
This is not the end of Willa's boldness. We'll see her again on full display. If it pleases me. That's one of her famous lines.
She's tough cookie.
If it pleases me. The Garden of Delights, David, clearly a drug-related episode. I think they did it in a great way, though, to put this in child's terms. Yes, it's fruit, but you could equate it to drugs or being too much of something, or, don't take random things from people you meet that look like plant people in the ground.
Don't take things from garden gnomes.
In the Garden of Delights.
I have one thing to say. This has been Thundercats with the Radical Retro Rewind. You can contact Willa at Universal Appeal 2020, the Queen of the Universe. No, I think it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it.
This was a lot. And this is a very well-known episode. And I'm still not sure we summed it up right, because I was all over the place, because there were so many things happening. We definitely got a kick out of it, and seeing what Mumm-Ra will do next, God knows. So many days, so many disguises. So that was the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. You could reach David and Willa at Universal Appeal 2020. All one word, as well as the Retro Rewind podcast, all one word on Instagram, and we could be found on YouTube, where we're always updating and adding new videos as well. And we will be back.
Ho!
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!